Mark? Welcome to your first podcast.
I'm very glad to be here.
Are you nervous?
I don't think I'm nervous, no.
You speak a lot.
I do.
Why don't you tell the listeners what you do so we can add some validity when you start going on some heavy rants?
Some validity on my soapbox, pontificating about policies.
Yeah.
I am an immigration attorney. I also know Ben through music, but we'll, I'm sure, talk about both of those things.
Yeah.
In great detail. I had a work day, definitely a 9 to 5er.
Do you like that?
Do I like? I do. I cannot fathom what it would be like to work 7 days a week. Self-employed. I mean, self-employed meaning.
Like start your own business?
Yeah, like constantly being on the clock. I think that's incredibly unhealthy for human beings. Got to stop
I
that.
can attest to that. It's very unhealthy.
And I will be the first person to say you got to pick one day out of the week to just rest, because God did that.
We all know God's been right about everything.
I wouldn't say that, but I do know it's a good concept. It's a healthy.
It's a great concept.
Yeah.
I get it. There's a time in one's life that they start a business, usually in their 20s. Hopefully they don't have kids. If you have children, please be careful starting a business. Where it will consume your whole life because it's all on you. The idea is on you. The concept's on you. No one's there to get your back. The only way to make money is if you put in the work. Mm-hmm. But man, has it become daunting. The only thing that stopped it and gave me a sense of normalcy was COVID. Before that, I would just work as much as I could. I had a problem. Like, I couldn't stop. I got called out so much by, like, people close to me. It's like, can you, like, just hang out for once with us? Just be here?
Just one day out of the week.
I was always looking for an angle to try to make it grow and make it work, you know? No, but now I'm so much better. Like, I usually am done, if I can help it, by, like, 5 or 6, like, by dinner time. And then, but then there's, like, little one-off stuff. Like, sometimes a band can only record a session at 7.
Right.
But a live video session at this point, with how fast I've gotten it done, I can do it in like an hour and a half. It's not that bad. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I try to treat it where I don't do any like other work outside of it, just kind of like a hangout with the band, you know? Like you've done, I'm like just kind of hanging out. It is work, but it's, I don't know. When work becomes really fun and you're just hanging out at your home with people you enjoy, it's strange to separate them.
Which, you know, doing immigration law, some of it can be fun. Some of it can be incredibly frustrating. Incredibly frustrating.
Can you talk about the fun stuff with immigration law?
The fun stuff.
I never thought I'd say that out loud.
Well, I mean, I sat on set for 2 different citizenship interviews, which, you know, since you're here, I can conduct a civics test to see how you do.
Please do.
Okay, great.
By the way, I never took the Constitution test in 7th grade.
Yeah.
So
you have to go back, just like
Adam
Sandler.
I was at a private school in 7th grade, so I didn't take it. And then in 8th grade, it was a really small private school. And in 8th grade, when I went to a public school, they kept calling me down to the office to take it, and I would just not go. And then I just graduated and left, and no one ever did anything about it.
Okay, I'm a mandatory reporter, so I'm going to have to let.
I think the statute of limitations has passed. It's been 20 years.
Okay, all right. We cool. No, yeah, where were we? So we're talking about citizenship. I sat in for two citizenships just today, and that's a very rewarding part of the job, is seeing the end of you know, so for some people, 20, 30 years of waiting for certain things.
That's epic.
Yeah.
Why so long?
Why so long? I mean, it depends on the case. So, and I did some thinking about this podcast. If we're talking about immigration law, it's such a daunting task. So, you know, I could ask some questions, and then I don't know that, or you could ask some questions. Whatever works for you.
Well, you were going to ask me some questions about the civic.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. So there's 100 questions you got to study.
What is the official name of this test?
It's called the civics portion of the naturalization exam.
Okay.
So you got 100 questions you got to study, and then they pick 10 at random. You got to get 6 right. So that's a D-.
Wait. What? 100? They pick 10 and you have to get 6 right.
Yep.
please tell me that these actually have some value, these questions. Because I feel like they don't.
There's. I mean, I'll throw you
Okay.
a easy one here. First president of the United States.
They ask you that?
That's one of them. Yes.
George W. Bush.
Very good. Believe in freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll give you that one.
Yeah, that's easy. I'm not going to say the name because it's that easy.
Who was president during World War I?
Well, there was, I think, two. Woodrow Wilson or
You got it.
Okay.
Don't, as your attorney, just give the answer.
I'm not that bad
Yeah.
with some American history stuff because I actually I find it fascinating.
Right.
I look into it, but I'm not the greatest either. I probably know a little bit more than the average person. I have tried to memorize all the presidents and their eras and what stuff that they did.
How many members of the House of Representatives are there?
Ooh. I feel like I have 3 numbers in my head and I'm afraid to say any of them.
Yeah.
Is it 230?
435.
435. What's the other one? I think that's
voting members, rather. Voting members.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why did I not? That is it. I don't know. I guess that's half. I guess I was thinking of how many Democrats there are in right now. I think it's that number or close to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, those I don't ever look into. I'll know the numbers and then I just don't use that information ever again.
Can you name one of your senators?
No.
Oh.
I can't.
Okay. Got it.
Unfortunately, this is how much I look into politics.
Good. That's the way it should be.
Because as much as it matters, I've realized it almost doesn't.
You have very little control over it, definitely.
I try to make a difference in my neighborhood, community, friends, music scene, art, stuff that I have seen an impact. And when I try it on a bigger level, I'm I don't.
But when they come pounding on your door when they find out that you didn't pass the 7th grade test.
I didn't pass. I never took it.
Well, you didn't pass it. And you didn't take it. Lawyered.
Dang, I can't argue with a lawyer. It's so hard.
Well, you can.
Certain arguments I could win. It just has to be very specific.
They're almost like real people. So you can do that. Yeah.
Wait, so what are some other questions?
What's some other
You have to name a senator that's for your state?
On
the test?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Your state senator?
Duckworth, Durbin. Double D's.
What's his name?
Duckworth or Durbin?
Duckworth?
Tammy Duckworth.
Okay, I thought his name was Duckworth Durbin. I was like, whoa.
Duckworth, comma, Durbin.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just I want to care, and then my life gets filled up with other stuff that actually impacts things.
Well,
and
if
then
you
I'm
wanted citizenship, you would have to stay.
Right. That makes more sense. Luckily, I was born down the street.
How long does a senator serve when they're elected?
I believe that is 6 years.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Let me think here.
This is funny. I feel like I'm in school again.
Who is the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court?
Probably someone that shouldn't be there.
Good answer.
Yeah,
Very
probably
good.
someone that's probably in there for life, and they probably shouldn't be.
In for life. In fact,
That job title, that job duration makes zero sense to me.
a little known fact, they're all in there for life. It's not a little known fact.
I know that, but why?
I totally agree with you.
What job on this planet goes? How much do they get paid a year? By the way,
I can't. I won't. 6 figures.
probably 6 figures is $900,000 variation.
Right. A living wage.
Probably more than that.
They get paid a lot.
Imagine it's probably 200, maybe
Or
more.
that sounds or 300.
It's on par with being the president of a public university.
Yeah.
But then you get that guaranteed for life every year. And what if you're 40 or 35 or 47? You're 30. Okay, I have a new thought here.
Yeah.
I always argue with my roommate about this.
Okay.
There is an age restriction to become president at 35 and above. Mm-hmm. Why isn't there a cap? Because we don't want people who have health declining issues in their 70s and 80s to be running our country.
Good question.
Why?
Because
it should be 70.
The
you heard it
people
here.
in power are old, so the laws are tailored for the people in power.
You heard it here first.
That's my answer.
I know. I have a feeling that was going to be your answer, but the 35 thing already feels arbitrary to me. And
Sure.
But why older people who are way less capable of of processing information. Their brain's not as sharp. They're physically not as capable.
Right.
It's a very important job, regardless of what you think of them. It's an important job.
They probably thought that people would just stop working at a certain time when they're ready to stop working.
I hate how many old people are in politics. It's like, let younger people get in and get out already.
I have these same feelings.
Like, what other jobs do you work into your 70s and 80s? What other jobs are you allowed to work for 50, 60? Like, very few jobs besides politics.
I don't know.
Attorneys will go pretty old sometimes, right?
My father's still working.
Really?
Yeah, and he does a great job.
I bet he does.
He gets in there and he goes to.
Does he do has he let his foot off the gas on?
He goes to the office 3 days out of the week.
Okay.
So still,
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like sometimes certain jobs allow for it because of. It's one thing to have a physical job, like you're not going to see a carpenter working into their 70s,
No.
But when you have a job that's just like thinking, you can kind of go, which is fine, but I think you should leave room for the up-and-coming people to
Something
take
like
a
a president does require a lot of movement, flying,
thinking.
going through time zones.
That's terrible on your body, and if you're older, it's like really bad.
Yeah.
Unless you're taking some drugs to get through it.
JFK, speed addict.
A lot of them. Man, our president's been. I feel like you can't be a president unless you're a little out there. Like what to lead to that point in your life to become a president.
I would never want to be that. In fact, that's why I'm on this podcast. So I say something that would preclude me from public office.
I could never be president. I've talked about legalizing drugs too much. They'd be like, he's too out there. Plus, I don't know. How much they would dig into your life. It's so weird and gross. So do you have any other strange questions from the test?
Name 2 national holidays.
National holidays?
Yeah.
4th of July and Labor Day.
You did it.
Look at me. I'm a citizen.
Yeah, I mean, you could do it. But there are certain things that they could ask, and you might not know.
Yeah. That's funny, though. Yeah.
Before Eisenhower was a president, he was a general in what war?
World War II.
There you go.
Yeah. He was a huge general in World War II, and that's why he became president.
I don't really know why that's a question, but it is.
Yeah. He also was very important for the highway system, the interstate highway system we have now, and tri-state system.
Right.
Very important for that.
Hence the Eisenhower.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, so we do, I work with my family. My brother's there, my father's there, my mother's there. In fact, my wife works with us. She does a lot.
She seems nice. I'd like to meet her someday.
Yeah, yep. She's a great person.
She's probably terrible at violin.
She is a violinist. How did you know?
Or is it fiddle? Or is it viola that she plays? What is it?
It's a string paddle. Yeah.
I'm just kidding, Olya. I'm only saying it because I know you're going to hear this.
Yeah.
So tell me those are some of the good things you named about your job.
Well, we do citizenship, we do asylums, we do removal defense. There is an actual immigration court. We do marriage cases. So you have to prove if you get married and you don't have status, you have to prove to an immigration officer that you're in a good faith marriage, not a marriage for the sole purpose of obtaining immigration benefits.
Did I tell you the story about that once with my friend?
Do we need to talk about it?
I won't name names.
I don't. Yeah, we don't need to go over that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, did I tell you about it?
Yes, I think so.
So funny.
Yeah.
What kind of trouble you get in if you are
Good
disingenuous
Good
with
question.
Your marriage?
They will say that it's punishable of $10,000 plus 2 years in prison. They try to scare the U.S. citizen into saying that they're in a fraudulent marriage, try to get them to sign things and that sort of thing. In the 40-plus years that our office has been open.
You know what's funny about that?
What's that?
I love you said him, because it probably happens a lot more to guys.
I don't know. Did I say him?
You did. Okay. It just seems like a lot more guys would do that with foreign women than the other way around. I don't know why. I just have a feeling it would be that way.
It's equal opportunity, but where were we? They try to scare you into admitting to being in a fraudulent marriage, and then if you can't prove it, they'll deny it, and then if there's substantial and probative evidence of immigration fraud, then not the citizen getting in trouble, but it's the person applying for status as permanently barred from ever getting residency in the United States. Which is a lot of what I do, is trying to prove that a previous marriage was a good faith marriage, not a fraudulent marriage. Mm-hmm. And then, so sometimes somebody could apply and get denied in the 90s, and then they continue their life and then marry and then have children, U.S. citizen children, U.S. citizen spouse, and then they have this record, and then they're not able to get status because of that. And I have probably 40 appeals pending based on that issue alone, a previous marriage that one immigration officer thought was fraudulent. So it's interesting the amount of power that an immigration officer can have on an entire family by just saying that we feel that this was substantial probative evidence of immigration fraud. And unlike criminal issues, you don't really get an audience with a judge. You could get an audience with a judge, but you don't. It's not a given. You could just get denied at the officer level, and then you're stuck in limbo.
What do you mean an audience with the judge?
You could get placed under removal proceedings. So there's something called removal proceedings. The only person who can actually order you removed from the United States is an immigration judge, not a criminal judge, not any other type of judge, not an immigration officer, but an actual immigration judge.
Okay.
So we do removal proceedings. So, the issues could vary. One could be an asylum. So you declare asylum, you have an audience with a judge.
And what is asylum?
Asylum is you telling the United States government that you fear returning to your country of origin and that you're being persecuted by the government, or the government cannot protect you from whoever's doing the persecution.
There's a lot of people who face that in different countries.
Yeah. We have clients from all over the place. I have a lot of female circumcision or FGM cases, and that can be some really heavy stuff. Yeah. And I will tell you, as critical as I may be of immigration law, I do think that the judges in Chicago are pretty reasonable. If you can prove certain things, like if you can prove through medical evidence that this occurred and that you have a U.S. citizen daughter, you have a pretty decent asylum claim. Mm-hmm. So we do a lot of those. We do the marriage cases. We do citizenships. So let's say somebody's got a criminal issue and you have to try to prove that they're actually eligible, that sort of thing. Yeah.
So what's the fastest way to become a citizen if you're from, say, probably a really good relationship with America, like France or something?
What's the fastest way?
Yeah, like how long, what do you have to do, what are the steps, and how long would it take?
I would say almost always the fastest way is through a good faith marriage. That would be the fastest
So
way.
say you're just like 20 years old, 22, you get out of university over in France, and you're like, I want to move to New York City or Chicago. We'll use Chicago because you know Illinois law better. Mm-hmm. What are they? And they're not married or anything. They're just,
are they in the United States?
They're in France, and they want to come here.
Okay. Well, I mean, you would apply for a visitor's visa for the purpose of coming in as a visitor, and you're not supposed to have any plans to do anything other than what's in your visitor's visa.
What if you want to buy a house?
But if you on a visitor's visa, I mean, it depends.
Like, what if you're like, I want to move to America to get a job? What if there's a job that you?
Well, then you would need to show that you have an employer.
Okay.
Or one thing that we do is artist visas for extraordinary abilities. So we do those, and you have to show a multitude of things. Usually, it's that you have work here in the United States, and that you are extraordinarily gifted in your field. So
That sounds a little subjective.
It is super subjective.
Extraordinarily gifted.
There's
I'm very gifted. Let me stay.
There's
here.
six requirements, and you have to meet 3 out of the 6.
What are the 6?
You know what? I'm not going to be able to do that right now. It's been a long day, and they're all practically the same thing.
The worst thing about having an attorney on your podcast is sometimes they can turn into one. If you plead the 5th one time tonight, I swear to God.
I did not plead the 5th. I simply said I will not be able to answer that question at this time.
Even the way you said that. I will not be able to answer this question at this time.
Yeah.
That question at this time. It's like, Mark, you left the office. You're not in a courtroom. That was great, though.
Yeah, thank you.
I love it. It happens to me all the time when people talk like audio stuff. I'll like go into like, actually, the proximity effect. And I'm just like, oh my God, stop. Stop.
Yeah.
It's funny, though. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll skip that one.
But it's very difficult to get. The artist visa
It sounds like it.
Very difficult to get. If you're in France, you're looking to come here, I would say the quickest route is a good faith marriage.
Why marriage? Why?
Because
What's up with marriage? Just making stuff happen for people.
What's up with that? I mean, you got the whole Constitution saying life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Part of the pursuit of happiness is marrying whoever you damn well please. And so the immigration laws are tailored by Congress to say that is one pathway towards residency.
Interesting. So what if you don't do the marriage thing? How long could it take? Say you have a job lined up in Chicago.
Well, I mean, so we don't even do that part of immigration law. I do not do the employment visas.
Oh, okay.
And we don't do them for a reason. They're a real pain.
Oh, really?
And you need to show that you have an employer in the United States, and that employer has to stick with you, and it can take a very long time.
Okay.
Very long time.
So, say I grew up, where I grew up was a lot of people from Poland. So I saw throughout my whole life a lot of Polish citizens get their citizenship. But sometimes it took, 20 years. And I'm like, why did it take, so why would it take 20 years if you're...
Well, maybe they had an asylum claim. Every
a lot of reasons.
Every case is different. But these things take a long time. I mean, if you file asylum, how long do you think it should take to get an audience with an immigration officer?
Well, it sounds like a trick question. I think it should be like within days, but what do I know?
Within days. Okay, good. I mean, that would be the ideal situation.
But it's probably within months.
Just today, I had a person who showed that she filed 7 years ago.
Oh my goodness.
And it's still pending. 7 years ago. And Trump had this bizarre policy of most recently filed get the appointments. So there are people who filed in the beginning of the Trump administration who have been waiting for asylum appointments.
What's the lottery thing about? Because that makes no sense to me.
I agree. It doesn't make any sense.
Yay, you won the lottery. Welcome. Everyone else had to wait. What?
Right. I mean, it's a diversity lottery. So the intent is to make sure that different people from countries that don't have a significant population inside the United States have an opportunity to come in, and it's all chosen at random. You really just have to prove that you won the diversity lottery, and you have to prove that you graduated high school, and you gotta prove that you don't have a criminal record.
Background check. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's so bizarre.
It is bizarre. I will support anything that gets people status in the United States. However, it is bizarre that there are people dying inside the United States. There are people dying to get legitimate status, and there's this diversity lottery thing that's been going on for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you know what are some of like the main reasons why you think it's so hard to become a citizen here? Even like it's not necessarily like technically a space issue. We have a massive country. So like what is it, just trying to like make sure we get every single detail about each person that comes in? Like why is it going to be so hard and arduous for people to come in even when they have no background? They're clean, they have work, they're stable, They have a high school diploma, maybe a college degree. Why so hard?
I think every immigrant population in the United States has to find has a struggle to find acceptance. I mean, there was a time when Italian immigrants and Irish immigrants were despised, and then they gained acceptance, and there are certain laws that were tailored to make sure that people from those countries are able to come in. I mean, my personal opinion is that there's systemic racism as far as trying to get certain types of people outside, keep them from getting lawful status. That's what I think.
Can you elaborate on what certain types of people in your experience?
Sure. I mean, the way the laws are made, you have to, if you're inside the United States, you have to show you have a lawful entry into the United States to apply for most forms of residency. Geographically speaking, you have one country who has the majority of unlawful people undocumented people who do not have a legal entry into the United States, and that would be what country?
Canada. Mexico. My grandpa
indeed.
came in like
Indeed.
that and did not come legally. So
Right, and my guess is he got amnesty in some.
it was the late 40s.
Oh yeah, okay. Well,
And he was working on like railroads and stuff, and
that you know, I've formulated my opinion that the immigration system has sort of become a glorified game of musical chairs, in that there are a bunch of people who came here through not particularly lawful means, but the laws were not nearly as strict as they are now. So I don't know. The laws have not been changed in any meaningful way in over 20 years. And I mean, there's DACA, but that wasn't even a law. That was an executive order by Obama. So I don't know.
is it made? Do you think it's made deliberately difficult for people from Mexico to get here, even though it's so close?
Do I think yes? They said in the early 2000s, they changed the laws to make it so that you have to have a lawful entry into the United States. So if I present a hypothetical, as they do in law school, the hypothetical meaning if a 2-month-old child crosses the border, did they violate a law?
In theory, yeah.
In theory, sure. Is it criminal law?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But
They're not even aware of anything.
right, which is why DACA was an incredibly sensible way to get around that. And DACA is just protecting
What does that stand for?
deferred action for childhood arrivals.
Okay.
So DACA is a great way to protect against removal and to offer work permission for people, but the executive branch cannot actually issue residency. So people have to still get residency through the laws outlined by Congress. And the laws outlined by Congress are pretty crazy in that you would think that there would be some provision for an infant child who grows up in the United States, goes to the high schools in the United States, marries somebody from the United States, has children who are U.S. citizens. You'd think that there would be a better provision than them having to. There is a way to get over it, but they have to leave the United States and they have to file a waiver. But so it's complicated. But
Yeah.
but I believe that the laws are due for some reform.
Yeah. And what year did they implement that law? You said
2012.
2012.
Law, you're talking about, I'm sorry.
You said something in the early
DACA.
2000s. Yeah.
DACA was 2012.
Okay.
In the early 2000s, they started this 245I nonsense about really hurting people about the lawful entry. Before, you could just pay $1,000 and say, yeah, I entered unlawfully. and I'm going to pay $1,000 penalty, which people would love to pay.
I had a lot of friends at the old high school and elementary school I went to that came here in the 90s as kids. And yeah, it didn't, it was so weird. Like, it always seemed normal to me. So many people from Mexico and Poland, where I came from, came here. Poland's because of the airplane. You have to kind of almost come here legally in some way. It's wet. You can't just sneak across the border.
Exactly.
But like from Mexico, so many people like, yeah, my someone snuck me across. Like I came across when I was 2 or 3, like in the 90s, and they are citizens, and nothing happened, and it's fine. And yeah.
If you're really looking for a just system, you would find some way for people to get status if they've been going to schools, if they've been if they've been doing, and I think it's all ready. It's ready for that, but Congress really hasn't gotten their act together.
Why, if people want to come here legitimately and they graduate from high school and they have no criminal record, why stop them? Why pigeonhole them? I don't get it. I want you to say why. I mean, I know why, but why?
Why?
There's plenty of places.
Well, we have to operate under the assumption that the United States believes that immigration laws are important. Do you believe immigration laws are important?
I wish that I could. I don't know if I truly believe it.
Sure. and then if immigration laws are important, and I'm not even saying I think that that's the case. I think much like the drug war, you end up spending way more than what you're suffering for.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do decide in your new country that you just started that you need immigration laws, then what do you need them for? Is it to preserve a way of life? Is it for economic reasons? Is it to stop the spread of viruses? These are all things to consider. But right?
But so far, the first two don't make sense with America.
I
preserve
agree.
a way of life. America's
totally agree
only
with
built upon immigration.
Right.
All of it.
Right.
Besides a very small amount of people. And we did a lot of horrendous things to them.
Right.
So aside from that, preserve a way of life, work. There's plenty of jobs. There always will be, in some way, shape, or form. If someone's coming here, they want to work, or at least they're trying to. I would hope. Yeah, it's tricky. And also, like the last 20, there's 2 laws you just said. The last 20 years also have a heavy correlation with the huge cartel problem of the last 20 years. Right,
and there should be some consideration, at least in the United States, that we've had this. The United States has had some big brother policies that have installed a lot of terrible governments in South America. And the United States is responsible for that. Mm-hmm. And then people are outraged about caravans, quote, caravans coming into the United States, and this panic. People are panicked because of how it's portrayed in the media. Why are they doing this? People should be, how did it get to this point? People should be asking these questions. But the United States definitely has had a policy that has created disastrous governments in South America, and you reap what you sow,
So positive. So a lot of the immigrants that you're working with, we're like a lot of them are from Africa.
A lot of my clients are from Africa.
From Africa.
Ghana and Nigeria, Senegal, Cameroon.
And you're mostly just trying to get them legal status here?
Yeah, either through marriage or through asylum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, asylum seems like a big thing with parts of different countries, like from South America and Africa and Middle East.
Yeah. And one positive thing that I've seen from this new administration is that President Biden has supported temporary protected status for a lot of people. So temporary protected status is again something that only the president can do, not Congress, or at least the president is responsible for that, and it protects against removal and gives them work permission while things are getting sorted out in their country.
Okay. Okay. What sparked you to want to be an immigration lawyer?
What sparked? I mean, I've been told that my birth actually caused a resident. So, there's that. My parents are in the business, right?
Yeah.
And my birth canceled somebody's removal hearing, and then after it got rescheduled, and then the laws changed. So I was to blame. This guy would have been removed, and so it's always been a part of my life.
That's the first thing they tell you.
Yeah. It's always been a part of my life that you got.
It's good. I'm just looking at you. Just laugh.
And so my I like to say my birth created a resident. My marriage created a resident because Olya is from Moldova.
Right.
And maybe my death will create a resident.
You just can't escape it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is this on purpose?
Is it on purpose? No. It's just in my soul. I don't know. But it was always the topic of conversation with my parents, and they would talk about different cases, and I remember as a kid asking them about different cases, and it became a fascination. And then in 2006, I started working full time for them out of college. So.
Okay, that was before law school.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a considerable amount of time where I was working at the office and musicianing. Yes.
And so you also are a musician in a great rock band, Fugu Dugu.
Oh, stop it.
We just played a great show together.
We did.
After this podcast, we've kind of done everything together.
Not everything.
We can't get married because you're already married.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
We cool.
It's okay. Yeah, that's great. That show was fun.
It was.
It was a fun show.
It was fun.
Have you played a show like that before? Like at a dive bar like that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I was musicianing, I was in a cover band, so I got the cover band experience, and I realized that that's probably the greatest way to make money as a Chicago musician, unless you really hit it big.
You are correct. It is the greatest way to make money unless you hit it big.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
I got it.
There's a reason why a lot of people do it in their later years when they realize
that
probably not going to hit it big, but I can still have fun and make
I can
music.
still play Sweet Caroline and Brown Eyed Girl.
Yes, you can.
It's always been my dream. Yeah. So, but along with the cover band, I was in a Romanian indie rock band called Peeve, and that was a really great experience. And it also was an experience that showed me that being a musician, at least in an original band, it can be very difficult to succeed, and it can be very, very tough to make money. So don't go into it with that idea. Hence the law degree. Here I am.
That's the 9 to 5.
Hence the 9 to 5. And so I'm in a band with Olya, my wife, and two fellas, bass and drums, and that's their names, bass and drums. Thanks, Sasha. Yeah.
And Olya was just in New York City at the same time I was, which is so bizarre.
Right.
What are the chances?
Yeah, she was doing Moldovan folk music.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I wish it could have worked where I could have went and seen them play.
Can I plug them?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we got Tarof de Chicago, September 17th. By the time this comes out, it'll be
It
over.
already happened. It was a great show.
It was a great show.
Turnout.
It was definitely.
I'm really glad that you decided to not go with the thing you were going to do, though. I'm glad you didn't do that anymore.
What was that?
Nothing. I mean, it already happened, but I'm just glad you decided not to do it, though.
Right. Oh, yeah. It was great.
There's nothing better than plugging stuff that already happened.
Right. Oh, yeah. no, and
But something that hasn't happened is everyone listening, keep an eye out for Mark's record, Fugu Dugu record that's going to be out eventually.
Hopefully in the next month or so.
Someday.
That would be ideal. It takes a lot of work to put together an album.
It does. We still have
especially when you got a 9-to-5er,
Yeah.
Yeah. But looking forward to it. It's called Lunatic Parade, and
It's so good. It's such a great record.
Thank you.
Very meticulous. It's been a while since I've been this meticulous on an album.
Really?
Uh-huh. Probably since my own.
Well, we have different degrees of meticulousness. Olya is classically trained, and so
You never
so
want
therefore I'm more meticulous, obviously.
everyone out there, you never want to work with someone who's perfect pitch. It's the biggest struggle, uphill battle of your life. Because perfect pitch means nothing is right. Because nothing has perfect pitch and intonation in music. It's always
It's
wacky.
not very valuable to have perfect
It's
pitch.
like the worst genetic flaw. It's a flaw.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you don't want it.
Definitely not.
So you marry music and law, which is, I've only experienced that a few times. I've had a couple clients that I started working with that were attorneys by day and then play music in the evening. Only 3 or 4 maybe in my lifetime. Maybe more, they just didn't tell me, but I usually tend to talk to everyone and find out what they do.
And you know everybody, so
I know a couple 2-3 people.
2-3.
Yeah, so you did music for a bit, and then how many years before law school, between your undergrad and law school?
Almost, let's see, 8.
So you're around
eight or
30-ish when you went in?
32.
32 when you went in. Okay, so then was it 3 years, right, for law
Mm-hmm.
school?
3 years. 3 years.
3 years for your JED. And at John Marshall, I remember you telling me
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And why so long? Why the big gap and then go, like, what?
I think then I suppose we talk about Lyme disease, huh? I was sort of not properly diagnosed for a good 17 years. Finally but I think that's what kept me from going straight to law school. Was I was rather ill, and we're talking like 2005 onward.
Oh, that's so awful.
Yeah, no, but use the podcast as a format to increase awareness. If you ever have a host of crazy unexplained symptoms, get tested for Lyme disease, and if you get tested negative, test again and again until it's positive. Then you're good.
That's what they tell you about the STT test. Just keep going until it comes back
Can
positive.
you just keep on taking it?
I don't know. I just made that up.
Because I know with the LSAT, which is the law school exam, you pretty much get averaged. So you're not able to just be like.
I love that. We got Lyme disease tests, STD test, and then law test.
Did I say STD test?
I said STD
I thought
test.
you said ACT test.
That's really funny. I was talking about STDs because I was making a joke, like, keep getting tested if it comes back negative.
Oh, okay.
And
gotcha.
then you just went straight to law, which is really funny.
Right. Got it.
So wait, the law exam, the bar? Is that what you're talking about?
There's the entrance exam, which is called the LSAT.
Oh, right.
Which apparently they're like banning, which I don't understand. Why? I can't give you a why. I just know that I read that they're stopping the LSAT so that they can judge on other criteria. But that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I don't know what else you're going to do other than college grades. And do college grades mean anything? You decide. I don't know.
They can.
They can. They can show that you're responsible. Absolutely.
That sounded so passive aggressive. They can show you're a big boy now, and you can pull up your pants.
No.
I wish I could see you in the courtroom. Can I come observe you someday?
Yeah, but it's probably going to be much more boring than you.
You don't understand what
Are you going to wear that sweater?
Yeah.
Then definitely.
I'll wear it. I'll have a horn and everything. I know him. Like, sir, we're going to have to remove you.
This is going to be your last.
I would ask the
warning.
judge, be like, how obnoxious do I have to be before I'm held in
That's
contempt?
a really good question.
But I ask really nice. Excuse me, Your How obnoxious do I have to be before I'm held in contempt?
Get out. Yeah.
Have you ever seen that happen to someone?
No, that doesn't happen in immigration court.
Bad idea for them to get upset.
Yeah, it's pretty subdued.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even stand.
Really?
Which I was kind of shocked because in law school they say when you address the court you stand and all that kind of stuff. But people don't even stand. It would be weird for me to stand in immigration court.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever think about becoming a judge?
No.
Why is that?
I would never want that responsibility. And I would never want to be a part of regulating laws that I feel are unjust. And that would be very difficult for me.
So you rather try to defend them and work
sure.
with them than...
Yeah.
Interesting. How do you find, if you can throw a percentage out there, what amount of laws do you find to be unjust, like percentage-wise?
Of the immigration laws?
The ones that you know, immigration laws.
It's hard to give a percent. There's just a number of things that just don't make sense.
So it's definitely not zero.
Yeah.
There's a good amount.
A good amount of immigration law requires reform.
So
would
because
my
I'm
attorney
not an
response.
attorney, I'm going to say 20%.
Probably a little bit higher than that.
Oh, wow.
35.
Look at that. See,
Yeah.
it wasn't hard to get it out of you.
Yeah.
We'll call it a third of laws need to be relooked at. And
Sure, I think so. And that should be the case in every form of law. After 20 years, you should give a
things
good...
change.
Things change.
People change. Society changes.
Exactly.
Absolutely. But then you get things like Roe versus Wade, which they took a look at again, I guess, and did not go so well. Judging by your silence, what are your thoughts on that, Mark?
What are my thoughts on Roe versus Wade? That's where we're at. Boy. We need term limits for the Supreme Court.
Yes, Ben's idea, original I thought
Yeah,
here.
yeah. We need term limits for the Supreme Court. That would be my...
Why isn't there any?
I don't know.
Why is there 4, 2, 4, 6,
if
8
you-
for everybody else, but not for these guys?
If you look at
and
the
gals?
history of the Supreme Court, it's pretty clear that they didn't know what the Supreme Court was supposed to do until many years after its formation. And you had the Chief Justice kind of winging it and saying, yeah, this is what we do. We determine whether laws are constitutional or not.
Did he sound that nervous saying it too?
Yeah, this is what you do.
I swear to God.
This is what we do. I don't know. I think that it's wonderful that the United States has a system of checks and balances, but also if one branch of the government has been hijacked by political hacks, then term limits for the Supreme Court. It's never going to happen, but it's nice to fantasize.
It could.
It could, but it's never going to happen.
I love that about so many laws where like it
It
could, but it never will.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of like the strange quagmire of you always hear like in a blue state or a red state like you should vote because it matters, but your vote doesn't matter here. You're like,
Yeah.
well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do with that? I don't get the electoral college and the voting system.
I don't either.
Like-
abolish that.
I also don't get if you're if you went to prison for a federal crime, you can't vote anymore. That doesn't make any sense to me either.
Well, yeah,
You're supposed to be
specifically
rehabilitated. And
the drug
turned
laws,
back
which
into
are
society.
which are being rolled back, are made by Congress people who are voted into office. You'd think that the people who are subjected to those laws would, even if they violated them, would be able to vote after they serve their time.
I don't get it. It's like let's rehabilitate you, but let's make you impossible to do anything in proper society.
Yep.
Can't get a job, can't vote, can't go to the military, probably can't get loans or student loans, probably can't go to college. If you do, it's probably community. It's probably really hard. Yeah, what else? I don't know. Everyone brands you. No one wants to like work with you. People are afraid of you. It's like especially when it's like a non-violent crime. Like, I don't get it.
Right.
That makes
And I think that people in the United States are coming to terms with that, and that really the drug war was just another way to separate different groups of people into and dehumanizing them. And I hopefully people won't be tricked into that sort of thing. Hopefully.
Canada, if you get a DUI, you can't go there for a decade. That one makes no sense to me. You know about that?
No, I'm not familiar. I can only practice one country's law.
If you get a DUI in America, you can't go to Canada for 10 years. I believe that's the law.
Oh, is that right?
I'm like, wow, that's pretty harsh.
Huh.
10 years.
Well, I'm sure that's
No one wants
really-
to go there anyway, Canada. We got America.
Why can't... Does Canada decide that you can't do it?
It's probably their law.
Okay. Well, I suppose that makes some sense.
It makes sense it's their law, but it makes sense to that doesn't make any sense for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't deter anyone. They're not like, I shouldn't drink and drive tonight, then I can't go to Canada for 10 years. Like, it doesn't, I don't think it works that way.
No, it definitely does not. That is probably the last thing on a drunk driver's mind.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about doing any other law, or was immigration kind of where you had your
Absolutely
heart?
not.
Yeah, that's where you had your heart.
I have no desire to do anything other than immigration law. I mean, maybe criminal law. Like, that could be interesting. But real estate law, family law with the child custody stuff.
I mean, that sounds horrible, but do you ever feel bad when you're around and someone like has to get deported because of just things they didn't do the right things, they did the wrong thing? And
Yeah, I mean, what I do usually doesn't come to deportation, or they call it removal because it's newspeak, you know.
Oh.
They don't call it.
Sorry, we must remove you from our land.
They call it removal.
That's the Native Americans need to call it to us.
Right.
Sorry, we need to remove you from our land.
Right. Where were we?
Oh, people being removed.
Right.
Within your presence or something, or case you're working on.
When something gets denied, I mean, I feel bad, sure. I mean, every attorney has some denials or some losses, you know, it happens. And that can be stressful, but, you know, generally speaking, there's an endless appeals process. So, you know, there's always something that you can do afterwards. So that's nice.
A question just came to my mind.
Sure.
I've always thought about.
Yeah.
What are attorneys for?
What are attorneys for? In an ideal...
Why are laws... Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
Why are laws and the law made in such a way that 99% of everyone can't understand or follow them properly?
Right.
And you need this very select group that went to school for 7 years.
3. Well, plus 4. 3 plus 4 is
Look
7.
at that.
Oh my God, I got math.
I can't believe I got that 7 right. And goes to school for 7 years. Probably worked a lot of crappy jobs maybe to get to a good position. Gave their life to it. Why? So why is it designed to where it's so complicated that unless you have the money to pay an attorney, you could get royally screwed in this system? Why is it designed that way?
I that was one of the things that kept me from getting into law school, because it didn't make any sense to me.
Like, I don't understand.
I agree.
Like, I love that you do what you do, but I don't understand why you have to exist.
Right.
Why does your job... Why do we make a system where we have to make people get paid so much money to, like, help out those who can't do something that we were supposed to be of this system? Why is it against us? It feels like it's against me sometimes.
Well, it is. I mean, sometimes.
Well, that's why I do what I do.
Okay, good. Fight the system?
Yeah, you know.
Nice.
Smoke some weed, take some mushrooms, fight the system.
Very nice. Very nice.
You're like, oh no, I have to go. I can't be around when he speaks this way.
No, I'm good. I think in an ideal world, not only would the laws be made simple enough for people to understand them, but people wouldn't violate other people's freedoms, you know. And this isn't immigration law, but this is just law in general. but the system has become so incredibly complicated that it would be very wise to have somebody who's been through the system before. So much so that if I buy a house, I would retain a real estate attorney. I'm an attorney, and I would retain a real estate attorney.
I know, right?
Because as they say in law school, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And
It's so bizarre, though. Like, it's the fabric of our society. It's like the foundation. And to make it so complicated that unless you have the means to afford a certain one at a certain level, you could have a completely different outcome in life, especially with criminal law. Like that one upsets me the most.
Money buys justice.
I have had so many fun times in a courthouse, mostly for car violations.
DZ Fest violations?
Yeah, DZ Fest. Actually, that was more in a police department office, and turns out it wasn't really breaking any laws.
No judges with robes.
No judges with robes. Okay. No, just
I would
lieutenants.
represent you. I wouldn't know what I was doing, but
I got 3 numbers on my phone who to call if I ever find myself in trouble, and none of them would probably be criminal lawyers, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
But I would assume you would know someone for me to reach out to.
I could save you from removal.
There you go. Don't remove him.
Yeah.
From this country, please. Yeah. The simple equation of if you get caught doing something illegal, usually let's call it a federal crime, so it's a lot harsher, a felony. If you have enough money, you won't have as much problems than someone who doesn't have any money and has to get a public defender.
Truth.
What the heck is that? How could you be a judge on the other end of that, knowing that like that's a public defender? How I know is I see them all the time in my courtroom, constantly spinning out cases.
Yeah.
Versus hotshot $3,000 suit comes in. The judge has to know how could they sleep in it? Like this isn't fair that this person can get off on more just because they have more money.
I mean, I think if I were a judge, I might actually look at disdain with somebody who hires a really expensive attorney. I don't know. I mean, it just depends on the judge, you know?
But there's definitely a correlation between having money and getting
no doubt
away with stuff.
No doubt.
Than not having anything.
Yep.
I don't get it.
So how do we fix this one?
Oh, you can't. All public defenders. They're all public defenders. You can't pay for a separate attorney.
You would. Okay. Interesting.
And then you pay the public defenders a lot more money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an idea.
Yeah. I know it's never going to happen.
Yeah, it will never happen. But in this new country that we're talking about, this fictitious country, you would say.
You essentially just get an interpreter for law for you.
It could be problematic because you have the same government employing your legal advice.
Is it not problematic already, though? It's pretty problematic already.
It is, but okay. So competition breeds excellence. So if you have public defender and the private practice, there would be some form of competition. If you only have private practice and if you this is just a theory. I'm just thinking this out right now.
I'm also playing a little devil's advocate here.
Right, no.
I have to.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think that competition and having those two pools of those two choices, you would increase the expectations of the client.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you know, if somebody doesn't like their private attorney, they could go to a different to a public defender. I don't know. I think
you're like, oh no, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
It's definitely not fair. Maybe the idea is unrealistic.
It's certainly not fair, and life isn't fair. I mean,
life isn't fair.
It never has been, and it never will be. So the next best thing is to at least make sure that the laws make sense, and
which they don't.
No, a lot of them don't. And you know, as long as we're pontificating, you know, having the largest prison population. You know, the United States has the largest prison population.
I take pride in that, Mark. You know,
right? I mean,
it means a lot to me.
So it's either we're a nation of criminals, or our criminal code is too harsh. I don't know, but we should ask those questions, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, our criminal code can be quite harsh, and then we set up a system that it's designed to put away a lot of certain people, aka anybody who doesn't have enough money, certain skin colors, certain language barriers, education backgrounds, you name it. There's a correlation. Yeah, I mean, there are some people that should be in prison. It's crazy when you see, like, I have people in my family that have gone to prison. And it's always for drugs or something petty. But then I hear, I know about just right now what's going on with like some cryptocurrency stuff, which is...
I can't wait to watch that movie, by the way.
Which one?
The FTX, dude, just like this...
The whole thing, I'm like, we can get into it another time.
yeah. But it's going to be a great movie.
I don't know enough about it, but all I know is it's like, oh... Of course this happened. Why am I not shocked at all that this?
Right.
I'm like not shocked. I was almost waiting for this day to happen.
Oh, absolutely. And all those people like myself that didn't buy into cryptocurrency and didn't make hundreds of thousands of dollars, we get our day.
I just didn't get into it because I don't have enough money. I have so many problems with so many things.
We get to watch that movie though. It's going to be a great movie. It's going to be better than Wolf of Wall Street.
Who's making it?
I don't know.
Martin Scorsese should make it.
Yeah. Is that who did Wolf of Wall Street?
It is.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
This is going to be better.
The whole bit, the whole thing. It's like you should invest your money. Yeah, you need to have money first in order to invest it. So not everyone's even designed to be able to do such a thing. It's almost like a joke to talk about investing money when you like some of the clients you probably have that might come from absolutely nothing. It's like, well, they invest what? You don't have time to be putting your money into Bitcoin and Ethereum and all this.
Sure.
Yeah. Anyway, but I digress. I had like 4 problems in a row I wanted to throw at you.
Yeah,
even though all
throw
of them
them at
have
me.
nothing to do with immigration law.
That's cool. Why not?
When it comes to law, at least you know enough about it, but you also have seen on the other side of like the law world. So regardless of if it's your forte, you still can have a pretty good opinion about it.
And if I don't know something, I will readily tell you.
Of course you would. That's lawyers and doctors are the best. Sorry, that's not my expertise.
Or it depends.
But I do have a friend who I met at Harvard who could help you out.
Yeah. The answer depends.
Yeah, that's my favorite answer in the audio world. What should we use this? Well, it depends. What are you going for?
Right.
It's the best word to use when it comes to passing along in a situation when there's a million variables, So why? So does America have the same strict laws with Canada, another country bordering us, when it comes to immigration?
I know that there's some Interpol system where certain countries share criminal records. So if you like fly to, I don't know, France or whatever, and you have a criminal record, you're wanted for something. There are things. Do I know all the
Unless you're born
nuances?
there. Unless you're born there.
Unless you're born there.
Yeah, like Roman Polanski. That's why he wasn't extradited.
Wow.
My favorite director of all time. He didn't know no wrong things.
Where is he now?
So he was born in France.
Yeah, and where is he living now?
Made a bunch of movies in America.
Yeah.
Did some heinous stuff to underage girl.
Yeah.
And then went back to France because he was born there. Citizen, they don't have an extradite law if you're born there.
Right. Okay.
And people still work with him.
And he's been just chilling in France for...
Yeah, I think he got in trouble because he left for a bit like a moron and went to like Switzerland, some place where they do.
Did he do The Pianist? Or?
He did The Pianist, yeah.
Okay.
He did Rosemary's Baby.
That was an incredible movie, Pianist.
It's a problem I had with him and many other great directors that have done horrible stuff is they've made some awesome movies.
Let's just assume that all genius people did horrible things. I think that and then they have to prove you wrong that they're the geniuses,
Oh, the weirdest thing about that is like the contradictory of like the Hollywood left people that like love Roman Polanski and they kept working with him even though they all knew that he did what he did.
Yeah.
Because why else would you flee and not come back and leave? He left the court. He didn't go to his court hearing. He dipped the country.
Just flew out. They
left.
Somehow let him fly out because... Oh,
it's also like the late 70s with money, which is even more in your favor.
This is late 70s.
It happened a long time ago.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, the movies he made, the ones you think of like the 2000s, and
yeah,
he did not make in America.
Got it.
A movie, I think it's called Carnage. It's a great movie. It's so funny. Jodie Foster, Kate Winslet, what's his name? Christoph Waltz, and John C. Reilly. 4 people. Great movie. It's a play.
John C. Reilly.
It was a play. He's from Chicago.
Yeah.
It was a play, great movie, but it was based in New York City, but they filmed the whole thing. They built a New York City apartment set in France, and they filmed the whole thing there because he can't come to America. This is a Hollywood movie. It was nominated at the Oscars.
Wow. Okay.
Yet it's from a person who's a pedophile and a sexual, I don't know.
Problematic.
Yeah. So anyway, back to immigration. I don't know. So yeah, Canada. You said Interpol. So Canada, Mexico and Canada both border America, obviously, but Canada's immigration laws are probably not nearly as harsh or difficult as the Mexican laws to America, or American laws to Mexico.
I mean, I think that the policies themselves, the law is the same.
Okay.
Everywhere in the United States, the law is the same. It's all federal law.
Okay.
But the policies and the consular officers in Canada are probably much more kind and reasonable and lenient and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. That's just an observation, a general observation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think we spoke about it a little bit, but what do you think are the reasons behind being so strict with letting people into a country? Because, hear me out, it seems like you'd only really want to move to another country because you really, either A, you really, really wanted to for like a job or just try something new in life, but you have good intention, you probably have the money to do it, or B, stuff where you are is terrible.
Right.
I see no other reasons why a rational person would move around the world.
Just like leave their family, leave their friends.
It's either because you're like the first case I said with the person from France, you graduate from school and you got a cool job opportunity at a university and you applied and you got it and now you want to go move there. Or you're living in hell on earth and you want to go to a place where it's not as bad.
Well, there's 2 political parties and both of them use immigrants as political tools to sway the voters into doing one thing or another, and to separate the voters into little groups so that they're more malleable and that sort of thing. I was appalled with the previous administration about the anti-immigrant rhetoric, and you know it's not just that political party. If you look at how they were talking about immigration in the 80s, Republicans were talking about immigration in the 80s, specifically the debate between Bush and Reagan. They were trying to one-up each other on how much they loved immigrants. There's YouTube videos on it. Check it out. It's really interesting. But they were like, they're like, I love immigrants more. No, I love immigrants more. And so something changed, and I think what changed is this nonstop media circus that realizes how much more easy it is to control people when they're separated into different groups of people. Mm-hmm. And I'm not even saying that like there's masterminds behind it, but there's no incentive to do anything else other than separate the people into different boxes so that each box can't even consider the other box human. Yeah.
That the 2-party system situation is quite disturbing.
Sure.
I don't like any of it.
Right.
And it makes no sense to me. I don't even know where I fit sometimes. I'm like,
sure.
I don't agree with anybody.
Right.
About any of this.
Right.
But what do I know?
And the idea that there's only 2 systems of belief makes it very difficult for you to agree with people, mm-hmm. you know? And you know, there's a lot of good things going on, but that in itself is unfortunate because we're all human beings, and when everybody gets lifted up in one way or another, society as a whole benefits. Yeah. Everybody benefits.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what are some of the reasons you think why it's so hard to become a citizen here, coming from, say, Mexico?
From Mexico.
Yeah. Like, Why? Why so hard? Why make it so difficult? Why even paint such a negative picture?
Why paint another? I don't understand the question.
Can you repeat the question, please? As stated in section 5B.C.3.2.4 of the policy, I always love that stuff.
Yeah.
Or when they say
Yeah.
that stuff, and somehow everyone knows.
They just make it up. A little known secret, they're just making those things up.
When you watch like court.
Oh, yeah, that too. But I was talking about real life.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's not real.
Just make up.
Let me reiterate the question. What, in your best opinion, why do you think it's so difficult to become a citizen in America? Or rather, why is it so difficult to come here from Mexico? If people want to do it a legal way, why is it so hard?
Well, if people want to do it a legal way...
Okay, how about this? Why is it that some people come here illegal? Is it because there's not enough legal avenues to come here?
I would think so. Absolutely. I mean, like you said, what person is super secure in their life and says, I'm going to leave this and violate immigration laws of a different country so that I can live there? Somebody has to be suffering or has to be desperate. And yeah, I would never want to be in charge of making immigration policies. I would not want to be responsible for that. But I think that the economic factor is so overblown as far as the whole they took our jobs mentality.
That's ridiculous. No, they did not.
I can't.
What jobs, by the way, did Mexican immigrants take?
Well, all sorts. Some are neurosurgeons. Some are landscapers. It doesn't matter. And you want a diverse group of people in your your workforce.
The taking of the job thing makes no sense because we all know. I know exactly what jobs they're talking about. I've done those jobs. And they're not fun jobs. In fact, nobody wants to do those jobs, but if you have no choice and you're trying to get paid, usually cash, by people who have money to pay you to do whatever it is for them, you're going to have to do it. But like they're not taking any jobs that I've ever seen anybody want to do, ever.
Right. So it just becomes one of the many tropes.
Yeah.
There's that one, and then there's the bottom line is they broke the law, which implies that they're criminals, but immigration law is not criminal law, so they're not criminals. They may have violated immigration laws, but does that mean that person is no longer a human being? No, I wouldn't think so.
Yeah.
Especially if they have U.S. citizen family members, does that mean that they should be separated from them? No, it doesn't. So,
what if you come here illegally, but you have a kid here, are they considered a citizen?
Anybody who's born on American soil is automatically becomes a U.S. citizen, and it's not that way in other countries.
That's a strange law.
You think so?
Well, yeah. It's like, what if you are a woman and you sneak in here, and then like the next day you have a kid?
It happens.
I know. I mean, it does, but like that's. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's bizarre law. Like. And it like everything, it almost sounds like they just pull it out of thin air. And
I have clients who have come into the United States for the purpose of giving birth because they had medical issues, and that
does that help their case if their kid is
once
a citizen?
That child turns 21, they can file for somebody as long as there's no other and that whole 21 age limit is one of the racist issues.
Why 21?
Well, because politicians who wrote these laws were concerned about, quote, anchor babies. That's
what's an anchor baby?
Have you heard of that term?
No.
Anchor baby is like somebody who doesn't have status comes to the United States, has a baby, and that baby allows them to get status.
Oh, okay.
So so that child, and it's not a nice thing to say, but it is used as part of the argument, that term. Where was I going with this?
That child, anchor baby,
Yeah.
being used in America to get their 21 years to get their parents. So why 21 years?
21 years. Well, because they're trying to prevent the term anchor babies. They're trying to prevent a newborn baby from getting somebody who's considered unlawful.
Wait, so
undocumented.
is that it seems like a paradox. If the baby's born here and a citizen, now you can't just kick them out. They're a citizen. But you can kick out the parents?
Yeah,
Where does the baby go?
with the parents.
But they're a citizen. You can't kick them out. I wouldn't get kicked out.
Well, they wouldn't get kicked out. They would either stay in the United States or they would go to the country of their parents' origin with them.
It sounds like they're getting kicked out.
It's not. They're not getting kicked out. They can stay in
But what if
the
they're
children.
They're
can
3
stay.
days old. Are you going to stay?
Exactly.
Parents?
Exactly.
That's such a law thing. We're not kicking you out. You're deciding to stay.
Right. And what, one of the obvious inevitabilities is that you have this class of person who has unlawful parents. I'm sorry. Did I say unlawful?
You did.
I'm sorry.
How unlawful of you.
It's been a long day.
Everyone's upset with you right now. Unjust, unlawful.
It's been a long day.
Unconstitutional. What word are you looking for?
Undocumented.
Undocumented.
I was looking for undocumented.
Oh, Mark. You're so... I love how worried you are about saying the wrong thing.
But
I'm glad, though.
Words are important. Words are important.
My roommate tells me that all the time. Then I go, huh?
Say what?
What did you say, son?
Yeah.
They are important.
Yeah.
Speech is important. Words are important.
But yeah, you have to wait for that child to turn 21 to file for their parent. And it wasn't like that in the 80s and 90s.
What was it then?
You could pay a $1,000 penalty fee if you have an unlawful entry into the United States, and then you would file through that child. The laws changed.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it was, I believe, in 1996 that most of the unjust laws, through a majority Republican Congress. You got Newt Gingrich, passed just snuck all these immigration bills into like the budget and just
and no one saw them.
Just people just passed it. I mean I was there, but I wasn't paying attention.
I was watching C-SPAN at the time, and I was paying attention.
I was watching Batman, the animated series.
What year did this happen?
I think it was 96 or something.
I was definitely not
paying it. You were
playing 64 Sega.
You were in
the
backyard building tree houses. Yeah.
What really matters is building stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Not.
I stink at it, but I admire it. Yeah.
It certainly is an acquired skill.
I
think you have a little bit of it in you. I think it starts here.
Yeah.
And then
you have to have a dream.
You got to be able to think beyond what you can see and imagine different things coming together. So it starts with imagination, but then the next part is the skill set of learning your hand-eye coordination, swinging a hammer, getting good at it, things like that.
Yeah.
Although nail guns and wireless tools have really taken that out. But that's an amazing skill set that goes underappreciated is the ability to hammer well and screw stuff in.
Yeah, my family did not cover that skill set.
I have it. Thankfully, and in this new place, everyone's like, or my roommate, people are like, oh, you have a landlord. Now you have to like fix stuff. I've been fixing stuff ever since I moved here. I'm like, I'm not going to bother my landlord.
Good for you.
What? First of all, I got to keep up with the skill. You lose it. If you don't use it, you lose it. Also, it's so easy. And who doesn't want a happy landlord? Why would I bother them when I could just fix these very rudimentary things myself,
Very nice.
Yeah. It's fun. Problem solving. I feel like if I really had the heart, I should have went into the law. I like imagination, problem solving, and figuring things out.
You could do it.
You
could do it.
I'm too much. I don't agree with so much of it that I would just be heartbroken every day. I'd come home just like devastated.
It can be draining.
Yeah, and I'd rather be able to talk about it and do. I want to do something about it in ways that I think invoke emotions and creativity and inspire people to be themselves rather than that stuff. Other people who have bigger minds and hearts for it can be the attorneys that figure that out. And
Well, I can tell you that you are quite the community service worker
Thank you.
with what you do with DZ and everything. It's amazing.
Thank
it's
you.
amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I dig.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that there are attorneys like yourself doing what you do because I want to try to make a difference, but I couldn't do it in that way. I can't follow the straight guidelines of the law that's set out in front of me because I don't agree with so much of it that I would always be flustered. And
I've had those dilemmas.
right, like what you said about a judge, why you
Yeah.
wouldn't want to be one
Oh,
for those
absolutely.
reasons.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, and it's like,
Just like I wouldn't want to be a politician.
have you ever been asked to, or told, has
I've
everyone ever said, like,
I've
you should
had
be
people
one?
say that, and I was like, no.
We should run running mates.
Okay,
Because
definitely.
I've been told so many times, I'm like, really? With this sweater? Okay, let's do it.
I think I misspoke in the podcast, so I think that I'm precluded from running for.
Could you imagine? I'd be your running mate. I'd be vice president. You could be president. I don't want that stress. I want to chill. I want to go on Air Force One, but not have any
Yeah,
responsibilities.
definitely. Just eat ice cream and drink champagne.
Yeah. It just sucks though, because as vice president, most people never remember you. It's always the president they remember. You know, no one. People go, which president during World War One or World War
Yeah,
Two?
who was the vice president?
I don't know.
Who was the vice president during World War One?
Some guy who was chilling and smoking a cigar. That's who.
Nobody remembers.
That's a fascinating war, World War One.
Sure, yeah. I listened to Dan Carlin. I
Dan
think?
Carlin, yeah, hardcore history.
Really interesting. Just you can just feel the mud and the trenches. And,
Have you seen any of the movies?
no, I haven't.
They're disturbing, but they're very
Is
well
it
done.
from him or what?
No, 1917. I think that was Sam Mendes did that one. Really good movie. It came out a couple years back, 2019. Just it's one single shot. It's really beautifully made. One single shot following a day of troops just trying to get some information across the border, different lines, and it's really stressful.
Oh, it's a single shot. I've heard of
It's
that.
one single shot. So there's some tricks. It's way more than one single shot, but they do it as if it's one single shot.
I
It's
see-
probably 20 shots. It's still not a lot. They still have like 5 to 10 minute sequences of one shot, which is just amazing.
I've seen that with music videos. Just a
Yeah,
single
there's
shot.
tricks you can do,
Yeah.
especially with some good technology. That one, and then a new one that came out, I think a month ago. It's a German film called All Is Quiet on the Western Front. It's on Netflix.
I read the book.
It's so good and so disturbing. Watch it in German, don't do the dub. Watch it in German, read the subtitles. It was the first movie I ever saw that humanized war from both angles.
Yeah.
You saw that the Germans were misled, didn't know everything that was going on, just like every soldier in all the wars they fight.
It took place in World War One, though, right?
World War One, yeah,
Okay.
but it's just from the Germans' perspective in Germany, facing Americans in French and English. But these soldiers just didn't know what was going on. Their generals were misleading them. The lieutenants were misguiding them. Captains telling them this. They didn't have technologies. They couldn't look this stuff up on their phone. They just did what they were told. If you don't do what you're told, they will shoot you. Especially back then, they'll shoot you. So you just do what you're told, and it was so sad. And just everyone dies, and it's not good. You're in these trenches with rats and diseases and new gases that were new technologies and new
Horrific.
artillery that are new technologies that can shoot huge caliber bullets very far. Yeah, it was a bad war. I mean, that war created what is the Great Depression and World War II. Like it set up the volley for World War II. It created the Hitler that started World War II. Like because he was in it.
I believe it.
Yeah. Anyway, back to law. I'm trying to think of all the law questions I can get out of my head. But
Have you had a podcast with a lawyer yet?
no.
No.
I've had some. No,
Okay.
not with a lawyer. I've had one with someone who was an attorney, but he works for JP Morgan. But we more talked about he's from Nigeria. His name is Indiran Idu, and he's a Muay Thai fighter, a musician. I met him as a musician in a band, a metal band. He plays drums. He's a Muay Thai fighter. Then he's an attorney, I think, for JP Morgan. So I forget exactly what kind of law he does. Wild guy, does all this stuff, but we didn't really focus on that law because I think it was like financial law, and I'm like,
Yeah.
please kill me now.
Thanks, but no thanks. Yeah.
That's the funny thing about attorneys. It's like there's so many different places you can go, like so many different things you could focus on.
Yeah.
I always wondered like the really, really boring ones, like financial stuff. I'm like, who in the world wants to study that?
Well, if you
Probably because
combine
there's so much money in it.
you combine music and law, and you get those funny stories of the copyright infringement claims, blurred lines versus
Marvin Gaye.
Marvin Gaye.
Yeah, the Robin Thicke and Marvin Gaye one.
Right.
Yeah, that one's a blatant steal. It's like the same key, same pitch, same tempo, same everything, same rhythm patterns.
You think so?
It's really close.
Well, okay, but isn't it's the same rhythm pattern? But isn't it just stealing a feel?
That's so the way you said that, out of context, sounded so like bad in a sexual way.
Right.
Like an old man, like, I don't get why.
Isn't that like
Can't boys? They're just stealing a feel,
Right.
You know?
Right. So you're gonna take that one little sound bite and just ruin my
Go
life.
viral on TikTok. You're gonna lose it.
Yeah.
You're losing everything. No. Yeah, it's really tricky. That one is tricky because I have your lovely wife with her perfect pitch. I have developed my own version of that when it comes to just sound. I hear sounds. I'll hear a woodpecker, and I'll be like, "Oh, that sounds like this from that song." I could just recognize sounds, people's voices, musical riffs. If I hear 3 notes, I'm like, "Oh, that's in this song, that song, and that song." Like, so at a certain point, with how much musical exposure I have in studying music production and sound, I've realized that at least 75% of everything I've heard is just like barely a variation of what already I've heard in other places. There's so many things. In fact, that awareness provoked me when writing music to like make up tunings and do a bunch of different patterns and polyrhythms and polymeasurings and try to make deliberately and naturally music that does not exist yet. Like it's a whole new tone and sound and timbre and overtones. But if you tell someone, you give a band 2 electric guitars, a bass, and drums and tell them to play in standard with no capo, yeah, there's a lot of C, A minor, F, Gs going on out there. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of 1-4-5s. There's a lot of 1, 2, 3, 4s. Like I can go on forever, and they repeat and repeat. And the only thing that changes them is the pattern slightly changes, the tempo, the harmony of the voice, extra production stuff put in there. Yeah, the tone of the guitar, like very slight things change, but it's always the same stuff. And that one, there does come a point where it's like almost a cover. Like they just maybe change the lyrics, but so like that feel thing it's kind of like when I asked you earlier, like what are the 6 things that you have to prove that you're exceptional in something? It's like it starts to become arbitrary, but there is something that happens where you cross this threshold and everyone can know. Like say Olya was in that situation when she had to come here and apply for it. If you heard her play a violin, 100% of everyone would be like, she's exceptionally good. I think we should give her that.
She is.
But like she passed that threshold. Everyone would know.
Yeah.
But then there's Mark, and you're like, I don't know if this guy's good enough. Just kidding.
You heard me play violin.
You're not bad.
I'm not bad. That's the best I'm gonna do.
We're not gonna let you in the country, but you're certainly not bad.
Well, she replaced me as a violinist in the band.
I could see her replacing most people as violinists.
And she was a great replacement for me. Yes. Yeah.
Spoken like a true husband.
Yeah.
She's great. She's great.
Great replacement.
Yeah. Why do we have lawyers? We can go back to that one.
We'll go back to that, huh?
Such a useless sack of marbles,
Yeah. No, I in an ideal world, it wouldn't be necessary.
It wouldn't be. Do you think when there's a judge who's seeing a case? So when you hear like, okay, some guy's got a lot of money. It's always a guy. He's got a lot of money, and he's like, oh, don't worry, I got good lawyers. I'll get away with this.
What kind of crime are we talking about?
Let's call it got caught Trying to think of something that could go a lot of ways. Got caught with a unlawful firearm.
Okay.
Okay. No past history. Just got caught with an unlawful firearm. No permit or anything. And don't worry, I have a good attorney. I have a lot of money. I'll get away with it. What is it that attorney's doing that the person who has no money maybe gets a public defender that person's doing that they don't? One person gets 6 months in county jail and a fine and a fee and maybe it on their record, and the other guy gets probation and not on his record.
Well, in Chicago,
First of all, those likely to happen, what I just said, are those possible outcomes based on having an unlawful firearm? Because I don't know anything about law. I just made this up.
yeah.
They seem like they would be. One person gets probation. Another person goes to county jail for 6 months on having a gun.
Like the possibilities.
Yeah, the possibility.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so.
I think so.
Okay. One person gets public defender. Other one has a really good attorney. What is going on that a judge doesn't give the person with the public defender that opportunity?
I mean, one of the answers, at least from some podcasts that I listened to from about Chicago in the 70s and 80s, is corruption. That's a possibility.
My favorite time.
I'm not saying that that's happening now. If it's not corruption, then it's somebody putting on a really good defense, like getting actual proof that some evidence is inadmissible. I don't.
But okay, shouldn't the judge know that too? Shouldn't they know that evidence?
Yes.
So why does the other person get to slide that in the other person? And the judge goes, "Oh, good point." And then for this person, they go, "No."
I don't have good answers for that. I really don't. I do think that it. I mean, that goes to you had suggested that everybody gets a public defender, but that
I was being a little obnoxious with that.
Plenty. Oh, you were okay. That was devil's ad, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
I
know that's not the answer.
Okay.
I just don't like the current situation.
I don't either.
So I'm just grasping at
I don't
straws.
either. And we could start by examining, because we have a lot of control over this situation, right? We can start by examining why does the United States have the highest incarceration rate in compared to every other country.
Why does it?
What do I think? What do you think?
I have some thoughts. I've been around the block. I've listened to people speak.
Sure.
But I want to hear your thoughts first based on your knowledge of the law and age, expertise, experience in life, all of it.
Part of it is the plead guilty system that the United States has, is that the system has been made that you're told if you plead guilty to this lesser crime, then we don't have to run this whole dog and pony show, right?
It's theater. Actually, it's pronounced theater.
Theater.
It's like the opera, you know?
Yeah.
You got the judge belting it.
Right.
It is like opera.
It's a lot like opera.
I hate it so much. I would pay an arm and a leg to never step foot in a courtroom ever again in my life.
Yeah, me too. No. Yeah. I mean,
okay, so back to that system, pleading.
Yeah, meaning over 95, don't quote me on this, but at least in law school, I'm told over 95, maybe 98% of all criminal convictions are because of pleading.
I'm not told this at every cocktail party.
Yeah, I know. Did you know?
I got this guy, right? He works downtown.
He's way off. No, I mean, it's
I believe you.
It's over 90%. I'll hedge my bets, but it's significantly more than that. But because the system informs the defendant that if you plead guilty to this lesser crime, you're not going to be serving a life sentence or something like that. That's the system, and I don't know if that's part of it. That the system doesn't really have to produce actual justice through a jury and all that kind of stuff. Instead, they can just convince or coerce people to plead guilty to things. Mm-hmm. Or maybe this is a completely another reason would be that people in the United States are more interested in committing crimes. I don't know.
That's an interesting thought. And funny enough, that could be a little bit of the spices sprinkled on top of our society, because guess what country you live in? Freedom. Whatever you want.
Right.
Who's going to tell you what to do?
The highest incarcerated population.
There's a correlation being told. The most trouble I've gotten into is because I was like, I'm going to do whatever I want. I'm an American. I'm an adult. I'm over 18.
Right.
I'm an adult. I can do, and that can lead to some sketchy situations.
Yeah.
Because you have it in your head like, you're the top dog on planet Earth. I'm an American.
Right.
And you can go further. I'm a man in America.
I mean, real bird's eye view here is build the friggin' middle class. Build the middle class. Make sure that healthcare and education is accessible. I'm not saying you have to give everybody everything. I think it should be that way, because that's how most modern nations conduct their business. Free healthcare, free education.
Oh, it's business now.
No, it's not. Conduct their
It almost is, though. We're a bunch of companies.
Right. Free healthcare, free education, or at least accessible, and you will see crime drop drastically. You know, just because people actually have something in the game. You know, but I don't know.
I agree with you. There's a correlation with education, healthcare, and crime.
And you know, build the middle class. And
what happened to the middle class? Where'd it go?
Apparently there wasn't any incentive to keep the middle class.
Really?
Apparently, I would have thought it would make for a nice, pleasant society. But
I mean, that's where most of the money. That's the biggest chunk of people was the middle class. So
right.
most of the economy was thriving. People get the money, they spend it. You know, in that class,
they pay the taxes.
They pay the taxes,
as opposed to the billionaires who apparently don't.
Don't even get me started. Okay, so you got $1 billion, Mark.
Yeah.
Why don't you pay taxes on it? You got more than enough money to go around?
I would just pay taxes. I would do the right thing.
But why are there so many instances and stories of people who have a lot of money not doing it when they could afford it? And it wouldn't affect their life.
I don't know.
And be a nice, decent person.
Yeah. I have no idea. Taxes are what you pay for a civil society. That's been instilled in me
and it's a problem because on the lower income, lower side of society, not the middle class, the working class, the lower class, because they make so little money, because they're so tired of the system and broken by it, because so many people in their family have gone in and out of prisons or hospitals or death or destruction or losing jobs, being beaten down by their jobs, they do everything they can to not pay taxes. They enjoy their cash jobs when they go, I'm going to pay taxes on this. So it's almost like it breeds like the problem of people having a lot of money and abusing so many people below, that the people below almost don't want to like contribute. They feel pissed off at the system. And it's like, it's such a strange quagmire. Like, what do you do? What do you do when, like, I see it. Like, I work with people like that. I'm from that world, to be honest. Like, all my friends, all of us grew up doing cash jobs. Like, that's just what you do when you're trying to figure out life and you have zero, like, financial stability. And no one's going to give you a handout. So that's what you do. But then you hear from people who are upsetting citizens, like, everyone needs to pay their taxes. Like, it's easy to do when you have money. It's not hard to pay taxes when you have good income.
And an accountant.
And an accountant. Yeah. Oh, accountants. Why do we make these systems where you create these jobs where people can't do anything?
Nobody should do anything.
Yeah. I said, I get doctors sometimes.
I get doctors sometimes. I don't. I rely on crystals and the moon for healing.
My last doctor experience didn't go so hot, so I don't know how I feel about doctors anymore. I think I'm going to stick with the old...
lavender oil?
Just, have a friend take, look at my teeth with a flashlight and a screwdriver or something. Yeah. Attorneys. What are you going to do with these guys?
But I do think that of interest would be...
Wait. Back to why there's so many people in prison. The plead thing.
Okay.
We've hopped around so many times.
Sure have.
People listening are like, what is wrong with these guys? They're supposed to be top at their game here. It's right now. It's because I have so many things I wanted to talk about, and I'm just like bouncing around.
Sure. Yeah.
But incarceration, plea deal, a little bit of the magic of this is America. You can do whatever you want. So people tend to do it, and it gets them in trouble.
Maybe I'm not convinced.
No, it seems psychologically. I've to be honest, I've felt that DZ Fest is because I felt that pushing the limit of this gray area of this whole thing was because like I was like
I'm gonna do what I want. I'm gonna do.
I'm
responsible.
I was very responsible, but I'm in a country where I'm allowed to try things,
right? And it's a beautiful,
which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
As much as we're complaining about a lot of this stuff, this country, that why we're even here talking crap about it,
absolutely
is amazing.
and just because somebody talks crap about their government or their laws doesn't mean that they don't like where they live.
No, I would argue that you're more patriotic if you.
I have high expectations
about your Yeah, you should be able to criticize and talk about your government. That is way more patriotic than sitting there with your thumb up your butt going like, "Oh,
right,
yep, I pledge allegiance." Yep. It's like, how about you criticize these people that have put and bestowed these laws and policies on you? You never asked for it. You don't actually understand most of it. You should talk about it and criticize it. I think it's healthier. Yeah. And, speaking of patriotism, why do we do the Star Spangled Banner at every game? I don't get it.
Oh, you could just not go to sports balls.
It just doesn't make any sense. Like, what in the world does athletics have to do with the American flag and doing the national anthem? Like, what does it have to do with it?
Well,
we don't do it at concerts. We don't do it at other events.
Sports is a proxy for the military and war. And so
but was it always like that? Were they always?
Yeah, I think so. Specifically football.
Football. But like other sports do. All sports do it. Why?
Right.
American sports. I don't understand. I don't see how they're connected. They're private entities that are private businesses that hire people privately and they pay them income based on revenue. Like, what in the world does that have to do with America and the flag? Could you imagine if you went to a concert and you're sitting there? I pledge allegiance.
That would be strange.
Not the pledge allegiance, but say, can't you? It's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
No one has ever given me a good answer. Just like, I don't know.
Just feels good.
Just feels good.
When I'm drinking my beer slushy.
Marijuana. Yeah. What do you think about marijuana? Should it be legal federally?
I think all drugs should be legal federally.
You heard it here first.
I mean,
and why is that?
Well, the money factor, the cost of the war on drugs versus the cost of actually like treating people who have sicknesses, and then the fact that drugs being unlawful puts money in the hands of organized criminals, organized crime. I mean, it seems so obvious.
It does, doesn't it?
When you look at it. Now, when you're in the 90s growing up and they talk to you about DARE, you have this different opinion because these, people are telling you. But I think that addiction should be treated as a medical concern, not a criminal concern, and everybody would be better off,
That's the problem. Criminalizing drugs and addicts, which makes no sense because I've met and know a lot of addicts of many different kinds, and they're great people. They're not law-breaking people. They just have a mental situation going on.
It has gotten better. From what I've seen, that there is this concept called prosecutorial discretion in all areas of the law, including immigration. Prosecutorial discretion meaning the system decides. They pick and choose which. You can't regulate absolutely every violation of a crime. Instead, they designate certain violations that are more important than others. And that's what you should do for drug offenses. Are people lacing heroin with fentanyl and selling it to children? Okay, that's a terrible thing. There could be laws against selling drugs to children, or there could be laws.
My cousin passed away. What you just said.
What I just said.
Heroin laced fentanyl.
And that's horrible. And I'm sorry to hear about it. It's
happened to so many people.
Yeah.
It's just one of tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands.
But on top of people having an addiction, you're going to get them a criminal record? Mm-hmm. That's insane.
You know how easy it is to get off an addiction kick when you're sitting in a cell? It's not. It's actually awful.
I would think it would be easier, actually.
No.
I mean, it would be painful.
You're going to make that person
imagine.
Go insane if they're coming off of hard drugs, heroin, fentanyl, even alcohol. It's not a great way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't know. You legalize it, you take the money that you would spend on trying to do all the opposite, and you put it into clinics, clean needles. Just if all drugs became legal, the only thing I'd probably do more of is like psilocybin mushrooms, to be honest. Maybe I try acid once in a while, but also better education on this stuff. I think teaching about drugs and alcohol at a younger age and longer throughout life, being well versed in it. It's being taught that like you don't take psychedelics all the time. It's so hard on your mind that you take them sparingly, and you got to be wise about it, mature. Maybe wait until your frontal cortex develops. Wait until you get older.
Ideally, yes.
All drugs, honestly.
Yep.
I would tell my kids, do drugs all you want. Wait until you're 25.
There's a time and place for everything. It's called college. That's the
even beyond college.
Beyond college, I totally agree.
An 18-year-old's quite stupid and not developed.
And do I support constant drug use? Absolutely not. I think it's terrible. But I don't think it should be criminalized. And that is a major problem when there's something that people don't like. The immediate go-to is there should be a law against it. Is wrong.
It is.
So we'll see. With the cost to regulate immigration and the cost to regulate drugs in the United States, I mean, it's an enormous cost.
It is. And now I guess California. So we used to get a lot of our weed from Mexico, or at least from South America, Central America. And now I guess Mexico is getting their weed from California because it's gotten so good growing it there that they're trafficking it out of California into Mexico using the same avenues they used to use to get it from Mexico into California.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's unlawful in Mexico?
Yeah.
Okay. I wouldn't know.
I get, or maybe it's not unlawful. Rather, maybe it's just higher quality. I think it's just better stuff in California. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a whole thing. The marijuana, it gets complicated when you talk about, it doesn't, because guess what's legal and it's awful? Are opiates that are pills.
Alcohol.
Oh my God, I don't even get started on alcohol. I got some wine I got to crack after this.
All right.
My birthday's tomorrow,
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah.
33. I don't really do much for my birthday, but I guess I'm talking about it right. Anyway, we'll move on. Yeah, pills. Pills they're so bad. Like, they're so bad. I don't know why people want to take them. Like,
two great things to watch would be Dope Sick. If you've ever seen it, strongly recommend Dope Sick. It's got Michael Keaton in it. It's brilliant. He's great. I think he's great.
Batman.
And then Take Your Pills. It's a documentary on
the first one's not a documentary. It's a film.
No, it's a
movie and
it's a
then
multi-series.
Documentary.
It's not.
Okay.
It's like 8 episodes or something.
What show or what streaming service is it on?
I think Dope Sick is on Amazon.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then Netflix. Take Your Pills.
Take Your Pills.
Yeah.
I don't understand why. Before you get addicted, I don't understand why you'd want to take pills. Like,
people are suffering.
They're suffering.
And the pill makes it go away temporarily.
Yeah, especially the benzo thing. That's like catastrophic.
Yeah.
Like, it's bad. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll never know because I don't have that neurology.
Yeah.
I don't, but I certainly know at times in my life at my worst, which was many, many times, I just kept thinking like, maybe a pill could fix us, or maybe better life choices can at least help the situation.
Very wise.
And then maybe time with that can fix it. Because it's not going to fix it right away. Exercising and eating right and sleeping well and meditating, that helps. But if you have serious problems, that's not going to just fix everything. But maybe that with time and therapy and talking and honesty.
Seems like sleep is huge.
It's so huge that it's ruining my life. Because now I'm so obsessed with it that I just don't do anything that adults do anymore. Like, I'm going to bed every day at 10 o'clock.
Oh, I see.
I don't go out anymore because I'm going to bed so early. Nice. It makes it hard to play shows, go to them, go to events.
Coming home at 3
go to your
morning.
Party. It's like, it's exhausting.
So sorry.
Quit inviting me.
We'll cancel our invite. How's that?
I can't wait.
Yeah. I can't wait for
Bring
the
my mics. We're going to record some bands in there.
Nice.
At the living room. Yeah.
Start a festival.
Yeah. We gotta. The pill thing. If pills are legal and Oxycontin, Vicodin, it's like
Adderall,
Xanax, you name it, or Prazolam. Then why? The same thing with those and alcohol and FTA, alcohol, tobacco, marijuana in some states. The same thing can happen with other drugs. All they are versions of that stuff that is just not legal, and so they're like...
You got the difference between Oxycontin and black tar opium, where you would have to go to an opium den, get a long pipe, you'd buy the stuff, you pack the thing, and it's not so instant, That's just a different experience, and the pills are just so quick,
So quick, and it's so normalized.
Yeah.
It's I'm in a little orange container. It's got my doctor's name on it.
Xannies. Yeah. I wouldn't mess with the stuff, but it's just even though I wouldn't mess with the stuff, I do think it should be legal, accessible, and not criminalized because I have empathy.
Yes. Yes. No, it should. Some people do need it.
Yeah.
I think education on it. I think not just constantly refilling a prescription pill for whatever incentive. That's a whole nother world of the incentivization from big pharma. It's not good. And doctors getting more money because of it. It's we can do this forever.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get someone in here from big pharma.
Yes, we need a big pharma rep.
Yeah.
Well, actually, everything's fine.
I swear to God. Some pills are great. Some pills do really help people.
Sure, yeah.
Like metformin. Metformin, if you have diabetes, it's a lifesaver, literally. But that's not the medication we're talking about.
No.
I'm talking about to be blunt, painkillers and speeds. I'm talking about those two. I'm not talking about the kind that help your heart because you have a palpitation or something and it's keeping you alive. My brother takes Synthroid. He doesn't have a thyroid. That's not the pills I'm talking about. Those are good ones. Those great medical advancements in science. But yeah, the Vicodins. I've gotten hurt to where the doctor was going to prescribe me that stuff, and I was like, no. It's it can't be that bad. It's just a broken bone.
Right.
People have been dealing with them for a million years. I'll be okay.
It's probably a good idea.
That's fine. You take some ibuprofen or Tylenol, which also isn't good for you, but it's not nearly as bad as the Vicodin.
Sure.
And you just rest for a couple days, and the throbbing goes away. Deal with it. Also, once that pain's gone, it makes you really appreciate your normal life.
And that's why you get surgery to begin with, right? Just so you can have perspective.
You didn't drink any of your water yet, Mark.
No.
So I noticed you have a long thumbnail. Do you play acoustic guitar?
I do play acoustic guitar. I play a Gowden classical nylon string, but electric. So I play that. Good. Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy with that for live sound and we like to get the place moving with music.
Good segue. Yeah. Law, pills, music. They kind of all go together. Musicians take pills and they break the laws doing it.
I love that guitar company, Gowden. They're Canadian. They're Canadian.
Hey.
Are you familiar with that?
Canadians?
Are you familiar with Canadians? That's my
met
question.
A couple.
That's my great
met
question.
A couple Canadians.
No, Gowden.
No, I'm not. I'm not familiar with them.
It's got the greatest neck on a guitar.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you just saying that?
No,
because you
I'm not
play it?
saying that. Well, I'm saying it because I play it. But yes, I do believe it's got the greatest neck.
The funny thing about instruments, it's the same thing as like a DAW, your digital audio workstation, or certain microphones. It's almost like two things, whatever you learned on in life or whatever has done the most for you in the most recent time tends to be
The greatest.
The greatest of the
Yeah,
best.
I got
Logic's
you.
the best DAW ever. Pro Tools and FL Studio and Ableton Live.
But I
and
played a
Cubase,
lot of
they all suck.
guitars in my day. So
See, that's where that is different.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Like, I always say my Fender Jazzmaster has the best neck.
which is on our album, by the way.
It is. It has a great neck,
And
but
it's great sound.
great sound, great neck. It has a great neck because the lacquer was properly sanded off of it, which doesn't allow your hand to stick. When you have lacquer on wood and your hands get sweaty, it starts to stick to it.
Yeah.
Not having that lacquer, you get more fluent sliding on it.
Well, then why have the lacquer?
So it protects the wood. So
Yeah.
mine is more susceptible to damage over time.
Sure.
Moisture and whatnot, humidity. Protects the wood and also can keep the shape better. So it's really dangerous to sand off the lacquer because it can make the wood bend because now it's not. That lacquer acts as like a layer of skin holding the wood in place.
Gotcha.
Wood is very malleable.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shoot. Wood is very malleable, just like this SM7. And so you have to be very careful when doing it. You could ruin a neck, and that neck's expensive. That neck's probably like $1,500 just for the neck. So
Nice.
yeah, so you got to be careful with it.
Yeah.
I didn't do it. Someone did it, but so that's why it is a well-built guitar, but the neck on it gives an extra like step in the right direction when it comes to moving quickly. So that's why I'm like, oh, it's the best neck ever. But now I've just gotten used to that. So when I play other great guitars, they feel weird to me because they don't have that. They still have the lacquer on there, and I could feel it, and it drives me crazy. Yeah,
Yeah, the neck is very important. So, for some reason.
the neck's
Yeah.
important.
Oh, yeah.
For some reason, you want me to tell you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so the metal that is the frets, how well those are shaved is really important for sliding your hands because it's more friction.
Yeah.
It also can be irritating and not allow you to focus. In my opinion, when people say a neck has good playability, it's talking about a lot of things. It's talking about literally how fluent you can move your hand and fingers across it. What objects get in the way, interference you have from playability. The height of the frets, the quality of the wood, the way it resonates, the movement of it, the tension of it. Does it warp? Does it bend? Is it skewed a little bit? All these are factors in it. How well does it hold the tension of the strings from the nut to the bridge to the tailpiece? Also, how well does it take outside interference such as like dirt, grit, moisture onto the frets? Because a lot of that stuff can stick onto frets.
It sure does.
Sure does. So there's a lot of factors that can make or break a good neck. Yeah. Truss rod, how well was the truss rod implemented into the wood to keeping the neck straight? The machine heads, the build of them, what kind of fit do they have? Is it a loose fit? Is it a tight fit? Or is it a normal fit? Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's nice having you guide us through the studio, and
I had
it's a blast.
It's been fun. I love recording records. I don't do records as often because it's such a different process.
It is very tedious.
It's very tedious.
Especially,
but I like it because the the outcome is always worth it though.
Yeah,
when you get to it's a record.
Yeah,
like records are forever, like diamonds.
They sure are. Yeah, big diamond fan right over here. No, I do like the messy quality, unpolished way of recording. I do like that, but also, it's nice to get everything the way that it
it's fun
should
doing
be,
little production stuff, and as the creator, as the musician, they're all those things. At least for me, I can't speak for everyone, but they're like little memories, little mazes you have.
Sure.
Every time you hear all the little effects we did, the little nuances here and there, like it'll bring you back to that moment, spark a smile, and could be the fuel to remind you of like why you do it.
Right.
Like it's about the moments that create the art and that two-way relationship between the listener and you. And then when you get to listen back to it, you can become a listener of it and start to appreciate music in a different way, learn new stuff from it. You could study your own music in high-quality fashion, the production of it, the sound and tone for future records. It's a great tool you can't really put a price on. Like, you could put a price on, you could literally pay for it, but you can't put a price on, like, the outcome of what it can do for you, society, your friends, your musical career, you know?
Yeah.
If nothing, you have, like, to me, albums are like, to an academic or a go-getter, it's like they're like degrees, like putting on a record. Like, it could take years, a lot of money, a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of studying, figuring things out, winging it, being diligent, communication, connections. It's like going to college. It's like a big job. Putting on an album is no joke, and very few people put out one in their lifetime, let alone 3, 5, 20. So,
And it's really nice having you involved in the process, because the moment I look at a computer, every creative bone in my body is just like,
really?
oh yeah.
What do you mean? Can you elaborate?
Well, you're in a band. You got all these songs prepared, and if I were to start pushing the record button and mixing the tracks and all that kind of stuff, I think I would just completely not be interested in that.
Okay.
The computer itself, just the moment of looking at that screen.
What about like microphone choice, type, and placement?
That's all very interesting stuff.
That's interesting.
But looking at a computer screen.
So as soon as it gets to the DAW, the digital audio workstation, you're
just checked out.
That's so funny.
Completely checked out. And then to watch you move all the tracks, I'm like, God, I'm so glad he's doing that.
It's weird to remember what it's like to not know what that is.
Yeah, because now
it's
you're
voodoo
like,
to people, right?
It's super easy,
It's
right?
so simple to me. Like when someone's like,
I get that.
When you and I gotta hear my mouth. When you and Olya are like, can you do this, and that? And I just I'm like, okay, it's good. You're like, whoa. I'm like, that was so easy to do.
Right. Well, and I have participated in recording some albums and just to not have to do that part has been really nice.
It's great. It's definitely great when you could just do the music.
Yeah.
There's many layers to it. I mean, there's people who will write the music. Like, I'm assuming your bandmates that aren't you and Olya aren't really. They're probably writing some stuff, but they're probably just getting a lot of it to what you wrote, and they just.
Yeah, it's usually Olya and I write the music, the melody, the chords,
and they
form.
come in and add their stuff to it.
Usually, they have some input on the form, like maybe a chorus here, extra chorus, or something like that.
But her and you are doing a lot of the
writing. We
writing.
bounce a lot of ideas, and I've always wanted to be in a musical enterprise where you live with the person. And that's helpful, because then just anytime an idea comes around.
You're not wrong. I've been experiencing that for a long time, being in bands with like my roommate and I. We're in it, kind of a bunch of bands, but it's just we do a lot of stuff together. So we also,
and there's that
8 a.m. You just talk about
the constant trope of the woman in the relationship taking way too long to get out of the house. So we have a system where I play guitar while she's getting ready. So therefore, we're both doing something. So I play guitar, throw some musical ideas, and it works.
I love that trope because it's strangely real.
I think there's always somebody in the relationship that's slowing the process, and that could be a great thing. You should
I
not
am
be
reading
in
a book right now called Invisible Women.
Okay,
it's very good, and it kind of explains that our system has been designed to make it to where, in this situation we're talking about a woman, why does a woman always tend to take longer to get out of the house or get out of the car?
Again, I'm not complaining.
But it's kind of fascinating to read this. I'm actually agreeing
that
it's actually not necessarily their fault, but the way that the whole system has been designed not to help women at all, but only men.
Yeah.
I was reading this chapter about women waiting in line, and then I was in New York City at this venue, Union Pool, great venue, and sure enough, there's 25 women waiting in line. The guys are just flying through. It's because we have 8 urinals. They have 2 stalls. The process of even getting in, got to close it. Chances are you're not sitting on that toilet, so you're probably putting toilet paper down to put a nice, comfy layer between you and the toilet seat. That's a process, maybe. Got to take down your clothes, your pants, your underwear, go to the bathroom, wipe. All of this is so much longer than what? We go to a urinal, maybe we flush if we're feeling polite, and we just get out of there because we didn't touch anything. Because if you go into a bathroom that has saloon doors, urinals where they have people are blocked, and you don't have to touch anything but yourself, and you have a beer in you, and it's late, you're probably not flushing or you're just in and out. A lot of guys do that.
Speak for yourself.
I'm speaking for myself, but I'm also speaking on what I see. I observe a lot. I only say it because I like to be able to back it off, at least anecdotally. And when I go to a lot of venues, I see people do that.
Agreed.
In and out.
The old in and out.
And we can just fly through bathrooms. We don't think anything of it.
Yeah.
We're back in the show, back in the car. Where's so-and-so? They always take forever. It's like, no, they're still waiting in line. They haven't even been allowed in the bathroom yet.
Yep.
So.
There's a book where there's a chapter on that.
It's just a small, there's like 600 pages in this book. That's just like a couple pages talking about every single part of society that affect women in different ways than men. That's just one example that I never thought about until I saw it. I just read it, and then the next day I saw it happen. I was like, oh. And I literally heard women like complaining, and I was like, yeah, this isn't really fair.
Again, great way to write songs. You know, she's getting ready. I'm playing guitar chords, and we're sort of just bouncing ideas off of each other.
I use it as a time to work. I just get on my phone. I'm like, I guess I'll just start emailing.
Yeah, I really can't stand looking at the phone, but
no, why not?
I haven't. I haven't
either.
Yeah.
I tend not to during podcasts unless I'm checking the time, but I have a new system for that.
Or looking up some obscure fact.
Well, I need a producer for that, someone in the back doing that.
Right.
But it's so hard to do that, to schedule. It's hard enough to get guest schedule times and then my own.
I agree.
I'm not famous to where people are going to take off work to do this, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's like I kind of enjoy the one. I like just being the only person here and we can talk. There's zero distractions. No one else.
Definitely.
It's nice. Guess how long we've been talking for?
Oh, I have no idea.
Good. I'm not going to tell you.
All right.
Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I don't think so.
I feel like we have to do this again because we just hopped on like a gazillion topics.
Yeah.
We just kept hopping and hopping.
Definitely.
Which isn't bad, but there might be some listeners like, wait, that was a cool thought. You're going to finish that thought? Where it's like,
no. Not
it's just
finished.
the way the immigration system works.
Yeah, it is a daunting thing to explain. Like, you're not gonna be able to explain. You'd have to have like courses.
Sure, absolutely.
This time we're talking about asylum.
What was it like 200 years ago coming here as an immigrant? Like, was there anything?
No,
you just show up.
That's the thing that people
they
don't
understand.
Name. That's the thing that people don't understand is that it wasn't even made, quote, illegal to work without papers until the 80s.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
No wonder how my grandpa pulled it off so
exactly.
easily.
It's the 1940s.
Wait, so something I do want to talk about.
Sure.
I want to get back to this because I'm kind of curious about the history of it.
Yeah.
I get so annoyed when I hear people who were immigrants, became citizens, talk crap about people who are trying to get here.
Uh-huh.
That is the biggest, such like a, I don't know the right word, oxymoron, something like that. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, you have an accent still from the place you came from. You just learned English in the last 10, 15 years. Like, what are you talking about?
Some of the meanest immigration officers.
Oh, no.
Exactly.
They're either from a different country or their parents are or something?
One of the two.
One of the two.
Yeah.
I don't get it. It's like we are all here because of being immigrants. Some sooner rather than later. Some 200 years ago. Well, boo-hoo, you're lucky, okay?
Yeah.
What about the ones that your parents were born there or you were? Like, you've only been here for 15, 20 years. And you have the audacity to talk about immigration.
Well, I did it legally. What do you know about legal?
Legal at some point in time, pre-'80s, it's so arbitrary, the legal system when it comes to time.
There was still immigration laws, but as far as working without permission, that wasn't really a thing until the 80s.
Do you know what changed that? What happened?
I mean, just different laws got passed, and there's amnesty bills, and then people just made things more and more strict.
So I think we could at least end the immigration
Sure.
topic on people don't mind if you come here illegally or do stuff illegally if you have a certain skin color. But the second, it's just a slightly darker brown or dark brown, or maybe even goes to this place we call black. They have a problem with it. I've never heard someone say, "Oh, that person from Germany came here. Oh, those French, those English people, the Irish."
But they
never
did.
They did.
They
but
did.
I'm saying 2022. I never hear that.
Which is, if you're not into immigration or whatever, then at least acknowledge the fact that politicians on both sides of the major political parties are using immigrants as political pawns for their own self-interest. The idea that the most disenfranchised human beings have such a great pull on society, and they can really truly affect the economy in a negative way, is preposterous and insane.
Can you give me examples of both sides doing it?
Both sides are doing it. Well, I mean, you got Republicans talking about people coming in with drugs and
They're rapists.
And the
killers.
caravan mythology of how, this is going to change our way of life and all that kind of stuff, versus the other political party that says we love immigrants and then not really doing anything about it. Mm-hmm. There have been some positive changes, but has there been any meaningful immigration reform? No, because Congress isn't that incentivized to do anything about it.
Yeah, in the last 14 years, we've had 10 years of a Democratic president, yet I don't see much change with that immigration law. So I see what you're saying.
We should have high expectations of people in office, and if they don't meet those expectations, speak out against it, and have those discussions. But to at least acknowledge the fact that immigrants are being used as political pawns.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. Yeah. It does. And although sometimes it might feel like one can't do anything, you can try to vote to do something right, but also in a very small way do stuff for yourself. That's good. Your family, nuclear family, friends, your household, your neighborhood, your community, your city. That's where people can make differences. If you feel like, what's the point? I can't make a difference. Screw this government, which is how a lot of people feel. It's how I feel sometimes. Still go out and vote, but then do that stuff. Do the small stuff that amounts to something big, because that's where people can. If 300, some people are kids. If 200 million people in this country do what I just said, oh my God, the changes we'd have.
Huge changes.
Huge changes.
People would actually be held accountable. Yeah. So go out and rock the vote.
Rock the vote.
I don't know.
The voting thing. Every time I'm like, we could stop here and you say something like, the voting thing. I hate how things just become like this trendy thing. Except no one. I didn't post this.
You didn't. Oh, right. Okay.
They gave me a sticker. I was like, well, it was the closest thing to me was either my clothes or something they could actually stick on, so I put it on there.
People who want to post should, and people who don't want to post shouldn't. That's my opinion on that.
You're such an attorney. I gotta get you to plead the fifth.
No.
Looks like you've had some
something to drink.
Something to drink. Have you ever wet the bed before?
I am going to plead the fifth.
Oh my God, Mark.
We good?
Good stuff.
Yeah.
You're like, how do I get out of this? Usually Ben has to call the end, but do I just get up and leave? You should be the first person who just gets up and leaves.
Has that ever happened?
No.
Because you're a cool guy.
Oh,
you're
thanks.
Cool dude.
I'm just trying, I have so many thoughts that bother me, but a lot of it is devil's advocate because
Sure,
I'm not
sure.
stupid. I know that this whole system is the way it is because a lot of it is the best way based on all the factors.
Yeah.
You know, and layered with other stuff that isn't so hot and attractive and sexy. So, I don't know. I thank you for what you do. I couldn't do it. So I'm glad that you give many, many people, probably at this point, thousands of people, or at least the way it affects their families, a home here, or at least help them to figure out a way a home here in a country that, it sounds ridiculous to say, but it's quite a good country when it comes to freedom of expression and being yourself. Better than most in the history of humanity. So I'm grateful for people like you that do it. And I'm grateful, more importantly, that people like you do other things, like play music. You aren't just some boring, you know, white collar.
I'm a boring musician too. Yeah.
With great shirts.
Yeah.
No, great musician, great singer. Somehow you learned how to sing in other languages. I commend it.
Thank you.
I love when your wife has to correct the languages. It's great.
Occasionally.
I'm like, oh yeah, no one's gonna.
Nobody's gonna. Yeah, people.
However, she is probably gonna show people who do speak that language. So.
Of course. I would like to be corrected if I'm not saying it right.
I agree.
Definitely.
It's just fun to watch.
Yeah.
Thank you for playing music, and
Thank
it's
you.
great to be your friend and to play music with you. We've done sessions, we've done videos. I think I'll see you Sunday.
Amen.
I'm gonna see you Friday
Right on.
and Sunday.
Christmas.
Wow,
Christmas time.
baby Jesus.
Thanks for having me on, Ben.
And thanks for
Appreciate
being a fan. I appreciate listeners. It's always fun. I can't wait to see where this goes. But I appreciate your honesty and help. I learned a lot. I'm sure I said some ridiculous stuff, but I'll talk to you soon.